Hey guys, welcome back to Prepping in Progress. I'm Steve.
And I'm Kim.
And today you wanted to talk about something kind of special, near and dear to your heart.
Kind of something personal too.
Yeah.
Prepping yourself.
So stay with us because I have no idea where we're going with this. Alright guys, you all know Miss Kim as looking like this.
That's all they know me of.
Yeah. All you know is the strong, fiercely independent woman that...
Who's ready to take on the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't always like that. When we first got together, things were a little bit different.
Might slice in some pictures.
Yeah, let's splice in some pictures.
And dun dun dun.
You know, during this time when we were together, I'll make this about me for a second. I hit 300 pounds. And it was mostly due to her cooking. And now the pictures are probably over. You can see the changes that we've made. So, why don't you take it from here?
Okay, like Steve said, this isn't how I've always looked. Actually, this is quite contrary to how Steve met me. I don't know if I should go into actually how much I was at my top weight, but if we're showing embarrassing photos throughout this, I might as well say it, that I got to 255 pounds and I'm only 5'8". That was difficult. That was, even though I was a prepper, I was focused so much on prepping stockpiles and learning canning and all those things that are actually really, really good to have and to know. But I was completely neglecting prepping myself and actually preparing my body and preparing mentally and physically for a much different world that we might possibly face. I can't pinpoint one exact moment because, as Steve knows, my weight fluctuated quite a bit, but I got over 200 and I stayed over 200. That was definitely, and like I said, my peak was at 255. And at first I didn't really pay much attention to it because I had been big. Probably since I had my son, I started getting bigger and it just didn't stop. But getting more into the prepping lifestyle a few years ago, we buckled down and said, okay, we're going to start learning a martial art. Steve's idea, by the way, not mine.
Your son was being bullied at school and needed...
It was more than, but it was also because we really did want to learn self-defense as well.
Yeah.
And we knew it was an important part of being prepared was learning how to be prepared in an everyday life, to being able to take care of ourselves, to defend ourselves. I carried a gun, okay, that's one thing, but knowing just how to block a punch and just getting more physically active. Come on, bring it, I know now. Got us wanting to, and I pop up a picture of our first month at martial arts, and I looked quite different when we first started. And I was really pumped to start getting kicking butt. But that first week or so kicked my butt.
We were going through pictures for this,
Mm-hmm.
and I found a picture
Oh no.
taken after our first night at Nico.
I was dead.
It's not of you.
Oh, it's not of me, thank God.
It is big fat me in bed, asleep. We probably just come in the door and I went, with the cat curled up on top of me.
But that first night of martial arts, I realized I was even doing modified push-ups.
Yeah.
Even with modified push-ups, you know, when you get on your knees and you do a push-up, and most people call them girl push-ups, but a lot of people have to do those, but most people call them modified push-ups. I couldn't do one.
Yeah.
Because I was carrying so much excess weight, I did not have the muscle to push that kind of weight around. I was carrying it everywhere. And that's why I don't really think carrying a bug out bag is going to bother me too much, because I spent years carrying an extra 100 pounds on my back. But being that, and I'm going to blatantly say it, I was obese. There's no ifs, ands. It wasn't being curvy. I was obese. And realizing that it wasn't just that I was overweight, wasn't that I was just curvy. I was seriously neglecting my body. I was seriously damaging my body, where it hurt to move. It hurt to, you know, stand up and your knees would crack. I mean, just think about it, just carrying an extra 100-pound backpack everywhere you go. And the strain that it put on my joints, the strain that it put on my heart. You know, Steve knows I was having heart issues. And I put it up to stress and this and that. But honestly, a lot of it was having to do with all the strain that excess weight was putting on my body. So even though I wasn't having health problems, I wasn't diabetic, I didn't have heart disease, even though I had the murmur thing. It wasn't really quite a murmur, it was a...
it was more of a palpitation.
Palpitation, I don't know the medical term for it, but...
Well, it would
but
rain.
I didn't have high blood pressure, I didn't have diabetes, I didn't have all these medical issues. But I was quickly going down that path. And so in my head, I was healthy. Oh, that is my phone. 1 minute. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That was my phone.
See, I turned my phone off because I care about them.
I put it in the other room. Nobody ever calls me. It's weird. It's one of those automated callers, you know, robocall thingies. It's the only people that ever call me. But anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, being fat. Being obese. On the verge of being morbidly obese. And even if you don't have any health problems surrounding that, the fact of being obese is a health problem.
Yeah.
It is a health risk. It is damaging your body in general. And so I wanted to do something about it. And so we kept on with the martial arts, but I knew I had to make lifestyle changes. And we went to a family reunion, and I can pop up some pictures of my family reunion at my heaviest. And those pictures really startled me. I didn't want to share any of them. I didn't want anybody else sharing pictures of me. And I adore my family. I love being with my family. I love, we have an annual family reunion that we go to. And I love seeing the pictures from them. I did not want a single one of me on the internet at all for anybody to see. I was quite ashamed and how far I'd let it go. And so, but we'll get into the actions, and that's what we're looking for, is preparing our bodies, preparing us physically for a very strenuous, possibly strenuous circumstances that we may find ourselves in. As preppers, we know of a million different scenarios that can happen. Whether that's a power outage, whether that is a large disaster and you're outside having to work to clear brush and debris or anything else, from tornadoes to fires to earthquakes to floods. It is physically demanding. You know, if you go into larger scenarios, when we're talking about an EMP or a financial collapse or something like that, where we have large disbursement of populations, where you're having to bug out, where things are completely world without rule of law, Teotihuacan, SHTF, all of the things, it is going to be a strain on you physically. And if your body is not in its best possible place that it can be, you may not be at your goal just yet, but you are working towards it, it is going to be 10 times harder. And I know a lot of people struggle with their weight out there, and it's probably the biggest issue right now facing America is, and I know we've got people overseas, but Europe is facing the same problems as well.
And keep in mind, we're not saying you need to be Superman triathlete.
No, just be at a healthy weight.
Yeah.
That right there will put you out of the category of a number of different health issues. Like I said, the biggest one being wear on your joints.
Yeah.
Excess weight can destroy your joints. Absolutely destroy them. Wreck the cartilage in your knees just from having, and it's not just people who are morbidly obese. Bodybuilders face the exact same problem. You know, they've got all this excess muscle, and we all know muscle weighs more than fat, but they're facing the exact same issues of carrying excess body weight because our joints are not meant to carry that. And so coming up with a good BMI, body mass index, thank you, having a healthy BMI in that healthy range takes you out of those categories of putting excess wear on your joints. Now, you may be asking, okay, that's great for you. You know, you were probably kind of small anyways before, and you've got the body type that can lose weight easily, and you just, child, my sweet summer child, you have no idea.
Ask me in the comments for a private message, and I'll tell you how many fad diets and how many regular diets and how many weight loss plans she went through before
buckling down. And that's a lot of it. People say, well, I tried diets and I tried that. It's not about trying a diet. It is not about getting on a fad diet. I can tell you which diet I did and what all I did, but it's going to be different for all of us. It took me 2 years of hard work and dedication and changing my lifestyle little by little steps, because I knew if I tried doing a crash diet and trying to make every change all at once, I wouldn't make it, because I've done it a number of times. I'd gain weight, I'd lose weight, you know, it'd be back and forth in a yo-yo. I knew I had to make serious lifestyle changes. My cat is climbing in my cabinet. Jack, you're dead to me. Get out of it. He knows how to open the cabinet doors, and he gets in there. And it's good for one reason that he hunts mice, so he's going to look for them. Want an appearance of Jack? He lost weight too recently, but not by one. Did he just hiss at you?
Nope, that was me.
Okay. But anyways, it's very much more of a lifestyle change. And I know you hear that all the time, but it is, the reason why you hear it all the time is because it is a fact. You have to make small adjustments that you can stick to. My first small adjustment was stop going out to eat. Stay away from, I was a fast food addict and
fast food fanatic.
An addict. It is addictive. It is convenient, it is quick, it is addictive. I know most people are like, ugh, I don't like fast food. Great. You are so lucky, because I would be the type of person who would sneak out of the house and I would go get fast food and eat it in my car before I got home. It was an addiction. It was a major problem. And
then you'd argue that, well, it was Subway, so it had to be healthy after loading it with enough
Subway
ranch and whatnot to
Subway is the only
it.
place I've seen that has managed to convince people that eating an entire loaf of bread is healthy.
Yeah.
So, but it was a serious addiction. So that was the first one that had to go. Okay, stop eating out, start cooking more at home, which also helped our finances quite a bit because I wasn't off sneaking off and spending all of our money on.
And you burn calories while cooking.
Exactly. So small step. Number 1, I cut out fast food. Another big thing, I cut out sodas. I lost a significant amount of weight just from doing those 2 things. The weight started really coming off. We were more active. We were cutting out a lot of the junk, cutting out a lot of the sodas. I cut it. You guys, I cut them out completely. Sweet tea was another one that was a big thing to me. Growing up in the South, that stuff is molasses. It is not tea. It is. I've seen Yankees like eyes bulge out of their head when they see me make sweet tea.
My family's from the South, and let me tell you something. She liked a little tea with her sugar.
So cutting out sodas and sugary drinks was another great step. And then it turned into, okay, if that was working so well, I cut out sugar completely.
Yeah.
Cutting out sugar completely, that was one of the biggest tipping points in my weight loss journey, is cutting out sugar completely. And there is a lot of things with a lot of hidden sugars in it. Now we'll get into where rapid weight loss happened. That was the small lifestyle changes. And we're talking about doing one thing for a month. Getting into the habit of, this is my new habit. I don't go out to eat, I cook. Okay, we do that for a while. What's the next step? Okay, we're going to cut out this. Do that for a month. Create a new habit or an anti-habit.
And I was reading somewhere recently that it takes about 41 days to create a new habit.
Exactly. So if you're wanting to even create an anti-habit, to break a habit too. I mean, it's almost as like trying to quit smoking cold turkey. It is hard, it is difficult, but it's one gradual step at a time. It's one day at a time. Saying, no, I'm purposely making the choice. This is what I'm doing. The big one that a lot of people ask me, okay, that's great and all. People saw my weight loss dramatic in the last year. It took me a year to lose the first 50 pounds, which a lot of people say is the easiest. You know, you lose that first 50 pounds. And they're like, okay, my celebration was I hit 200 pounds or under 200 pounds for the first time since we had known each other. I was ecstatic there. I was so over the moon. You can ask him. I said, my goal was, let me get under 200. Let me get under 200 and I will just be the happiest girl in the world. And so, but I wanted to keep going because even at 200 pounds, 5'8", that is still overweight. That is still even in the obese category. So I knew if I wanted to continue getting healthier and making myself improve, I'd have to get below that and get into where I'm in a normal BMI. My normal BMI is around 150. For my height, 150 is a good BMI. I thought that was ridiculous because I hadn't weighed that much since before I had children. I thought it was completely out of the question. Until I went on to the new diet. And this is not a fad diet because I implemented into a lifestyle. It was not a quick change or anything like that. I said I'd made all these other changes slowly over time. And so when I made more of an extreme change, which I did, was keto. I know everybody is on the keto bandwagon now. Not so much a few years back. But the reason why everybody's on this bandwagon is because if you are way obese, morbidly obese, it is a way to get the weight off quickly. It really does. Having that low carb, high fat, medium protein, your body's reaction to that is dramatic. This is the diet that a lot of people get put on right before gastric bypass surgery. But just low carb in general had always worked for me. For some reason, my body just did not do well on carbs. Even when I was younger, when I got put on a diet when I was younger, because even before I had children, I started to get bigger, so I got put on a diet, which back then, it was Atkins. That was the best low carb one that they had back in the day. And I lost a significant amount of weight. And then I got pregnant. Which, I love my son, but he wrecked my body. But it also, your wolf is howling again. What is up with our animals? You hear that?
Siren?
I don't know. The biggest thing that low carb does for you is if you have a thing called insulin resistance. Google it, look for symptoms. I was there. If you were there, this is a wonderful way to help your body. If you have a real problem with no matter what you eat, or if you restrict calories and you still gain weight or still can't lose weight, even restricting calories, there may be a factor in there is insulin resistance, which a lot of people lump in the category of pre-diabetic and things like that. Look it up. Keto and low carb diets do help with that quite a bit. So if you're struggling, if you only have 10 pounds or so to lose, it can go either way. But if you have a significant amount of weight to lose, insulin resistance could be a major factor in that. The next thing after keto, that, like I said, it was increment changes. After keto was implementing a thing called intermittent fasting. I love intermittent fasting for a couple of different reasons. It really does help the weight just come off even faster. You can ask Steve that last year I was having to buy new jeans like every month. I was having to go buy new pants because then
there was one point where it was 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was losing so much weight that I literally had to go buy new pants every couple of weeks, because I'd go on there. I'm like, yay! I'm in a size 12. I've been in a size 12 since I was 12. You know. Then I'd have to chunk those and go to 10, and then the 10s got too big, and I could chunk those and get an 8, and on down from there. But intermittent fasting was one of the things that really helped propel that. And a lot of people incorporate intermittent fasting, even if you're not doing the keto, even if you're not doing anything, a specialty diet. Intermittent fasting is just as it sounds. It's a period of fasting. Usually you have I usually have my last meal about 6 o'clock, about 6:30, sometimes earlier if I stretch out the fasting. Like the other day, I was just not in the mood to eat, so I had my last meal at lunchtime, which was noon, and I didn't have another meal until that morning when I had breakfast. So trying to do the math, from noon till 5.
Till midnight is 12 plus 5 is 17 hours.
So that would be a 17-hour fast. Other people do it where they may have their last meal about 8 o'clock at night. I was doing that when I was working night shift, and I wouldn't have my next meal until noon the next day. And so that intermittent fasting, where you would go long stretches between your last meal and your first meal when you break your fast or have breakfast, you'd try stretching that out. And so instead of having 3 meals, you would shrink that down to just 2 meals. You would still get the same calorically, but because you're restricting it to a smaller window of time, you're allowing your digestive system and your body to burn it off the longer stretch of time. And so that really kicked in a high gear for me. And I know a lot of guys out there that are doing intermittent fasting. I'm pretty sure Bear said he did intermittent fasting as well. Bear Independent. He doesn't do the keto and he doesn't do anything like that, but he loves intermittent fasting. I love it as preppers as well. We talked about before about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And
link up above.
A link above. Which I love that idea, because we are so used to having meals ready to go. The fast food, that it's ready to go whenever you want it. You go grab you something. Getting comfortable with skipping a meal and that not being such a shock to your system really has helped me in getting into the mindset of okay, if I don't get to have a meal at this point, for whatever reason, I'm working too much, we're in a bug out, we don't have time to stop, whatever it may be, it's not going to be such a shock to my system to skip a meal.
Yeah.
And so getting comfortable with that feeling of, I'm hungry, I want to eat, but I'm not going to. I'm going to ignore it for a few more hours. I'm going to put it off a little bit longer. Not starve yourself. I'm not talking about anorexia where you just don't eat. I'm saying make the stretches between your last meal and your first meal longer. And get used to that uncomfortable feeling of, I'm hungry. And realize you're not going to starve to death just because you skip a meal. Now, caveat on that, if you have medical issues, anything that I have said, check with your doctor first. Please, Miss Kim is not a medical professional. I am telling you what I did to lose weight. I lost 110 pounds in 2 years. And the reason why I'm doing this now is because it has been 1 year since I lost that. So high five, I have kept that weight off for a year now, which I think is a bigger accomplishment than losing the weight, is actually being able to keep the weight off. Hi. High five, Jackie. Oh man. Keeping the weight off to me was a bigger accomplishment than just losing the weight. Because I had gone through periods of losing weight, but had never been able to keep it off. But it has been a year now, and so I wanted to share with you guys that it is not only possible, but very doable, and a necessity for us as preppers to get our bodies in the absolute best shape that we can have them in. So I know this has gone on for a really long time. I hope you guys have gotten something from it. Please tell me in the comments below, get into a discussion. I can let you all know more details. Yeah.
I just remember, I think Gordon from APN, Gordy, is doing keto as well.
Yes, he is.
There you
go. For the same reasons, about getting our bodies in the best physical condition as we can get them.
There you go.
So definitely tell me in the comment sections below. If you're doing anything, what are you doing? How's it working for you? If you've got any questions about the keto diet or intermittent fasting that I did, sugar-free has been another big step in that, of going completely sugar-free. But all these different things are to say we must prep our bodies. We must prepare our bodies for a more strenuous lifestyle, but just to be at our best selves possible. So, sorry this was so long. Please, if you like this video, I'm pretty sure they're showing other videos on one of our faces somewhere right now. And if you like, those look interesting, click on one of those. And if you like what you see, why don't you go ahead and subscribe if you're not already. We do these videos at least twice a week, if not more.
Yep.
And so I hope it was helpful. And if it was, please do hit that subscribe button for us.
Next week, I'm debuting my Chinese cookbook, 50 Ways to Walk Your Cat. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.